I'm going to show you guys how to add screws to your running shoes for traction in the winter on ice and snow. I personally use IceSpikes. You can use sheet metal screws. The sheet metal screws are just going to wear quicker than these IceSpikes. So this is what I'm adding. It's called IceSpikes. It's icespike.com. I use the run version. There's a 3/8 and a 1/2 inch option. I am using the 3/8 option, and that's what I've used for, this will be my third winter of using these. Now, prior to using IceSpikes, I've used YakTrax. I used them for 4 winters. I never fell with YakTrax. I loved them, but when we find better options, we switch to them. Once you know better, you do better. And the problem that I had with YakTrax is there's rubber with the coils. I had the coils at the heel, and I had the spikes at the pad, the run option of the YakTrax. But snow would get stuck in between the sole of my shoe and the rubber. And after a while, because once we have snow, once we have ice, we don't have clear roads for the majority of the winter. So I am wearing these for the majority of my runs, running 4 to 6 times a week. And I just got sick of buying YakTrax year after year after year. Sometimes I would go through 2 pairs because the rubber would bust, either from just being worn so much or because of our extreme cold temperatures. Like, my coldest run is negative 48 degrees for the wind chill. I believe the temperature was around negative 40 with some wind mixed in there. So when I found IceSpikes, I actually procrastinated an entire winter, and I wish that I would have put them in the bottom of my shoes as soon as I heard about screws, because I had heard people talk about sheet metal screws, but I just like, screws in the bottom of your shoes, like, doesn't it poke through? How does that work? I didn't do the research right away because I was hesitant about what it actually meant. But yes, screws actually go in the bottom of your shoe. You can see them like that, and they're super easy to just screw in. No, they're not going to poke through your shoe. I've never had a screw poke through. Yes, if you're maybe wearing an extremely minimalist shoe that doesn't have much on the bottom, they're not going to work. But I haven't, of all the runners that I've talked to that use sheet metal screws, they've never had a screw poke through. So that's nothing that you need to be concerned about, as long as you're not wearing a shoe that has an extremely thin bottom. Now, when I put my screws in, I don't use a brand new shoe. Now, the screws do not harm the integrity of the shoe. I actually take these out at the end of the winter, and I continue to wear the shoe. There's no issues with taking these screws out. You won't even be able to see the holes when you take the screws out of the bottom of the shoe. So don't be worried about that. Again, this is my 3rd winter using screws, putting them in the bottom of my shoes. The Aurora is actually my favorite running shoe, and they don't make them anymore. So if the screws harmed the bottom of the shoe, I would not be putting them in the bottom of these. But doesn't harm the bottom, doesn't hurt the integrity of the shoe. There's no holes left behind. What else? The other thing that I do is I said I don't use a brand new shoe. I want to see how my shoes are actually wearing, and that's where I'm going to focus on putting my screws. So if I didn't have much wear in here, which I don't, I'm not going to put many screws there because that's not where my foot is landing. I tend to strike on more of the outside. You can see there's some wear here. So that's where I focused on putting more screws. Now, the bottom of every shoe is different. the bottom of your shoes, even if you're wearing the same shoe as I am, is going to look differently. So you need to focus on what your shoe looks like, where it's wearing, and go from there when placing your shoe. So I already put screws in the bottom of this shoe. This is how I'm going to leave it. I haven't ever put screws in the bottom of here. I haven't needed them. Now, when I go out for my first few runs with these shoes on ice, on snow, if I noticed any slippage anywhere with how I'm landing on my foot, that just tells me I need to add a screw. So when I get back from my run, I'll add a screw. It's that simple. When you are wearing these, make sure to put these on outside. Put them on in your garage or something. Don't walk around on your rugs. They're going to get caught. Like, no, you're not going to get cut like this, but they will get snagged on your rugs, and they may indent your flooring on the inside your house. So don't walk around. That's something that drives my husband crazy. If he sees me wearing these shoes, he needs to make sure that I don't have spikes on the bottom when I'm inside. So I'm going to show you how to add screws to the bottom of your shoe. Again, the number of screws that you use is based on personal preference. I have 11. I believe this is what I did last year. I may add another screw down here. These, my dog chewed, our puppy. So that's why I am putting them on this specific pair of the Aurora. Plus, they have been worn a little bit, so I can see where the wear is. And that's going to tell me where I'm going to put my screws. Now, since my shoes wear pretty consistently from shoe to shoe, I'm going to put them in the same placement on both shoes. So both shoes are going to look identical for me. That doesn't mean that they're going to look identical for you. You have to look at the bottom of your shoes, see how they're wearing. You may need 12 screws on one shoe and 11 on the other. I've talked to runners who put up to 16 screws on their shoes. Again, it's personal preference, and it's just trial and error to figure out what is going to work for you. So again, when you order IceSpikes, and you guys, they're not expensive, and they last the entire season. I even have some screws in here from the past 2 winters. Again, based on how your shoe wears, some screws are going to wear a little bit more than others. But these are all the leftover screws that I have from prior years that are just fine. I can put them on. I'm actually probably going to have 2 pairs of shoes that have screws on this year, just because I wear them pretty much every single day from probably whenever we get more snow this week or next week until it's melted in March or April is when I'll take them off. But I also have extra here. So there are a lot that come with one package. You're going to have plenty for a pair of shoes, possibly even 2 pairs. Okay. It also comes with, you do get instructions here, so don't worry about not knowing how to do it. You can use an electric drill if you want, but it comes with this tool. The screw just sticks in the bottom, and it's super easy. It doesn't take a lot of muscle to add these screws. You're going to add them 3/8 of an inch to 1/2 inch from the outside of your shoe. Just think about where you want traction, and you just need to push down into the rubber, into the sole of your shoe, and you just need it to catch. Once it catches, like getting it to catch is the hardest part, but it's not that hard. You have your shoe in there, or your screw in the bottom of your shoe, okay? So I'm not measuring. I measured the first year that I did it because I just wanted to make sure that I was doing it right. Now I just eyeball it, and I've never had problems with having a screw in the wrong location. It's pretty easy. So I'm just going to add this next one. Again, I'm adding it pretty similar to the same pattern that I have on my left shoe. I'm not measuring, so it's not going to be perfect. It's just eyeballing, but you can see how close those two are. I actually, like, that's incredible how they're pretty much the same. And I'm just going to keep on doing that, okay? Looking at the wear of my shoe, that's why I recommend using a shoe that's slightly worn and that's not fresh out of the box. Unless you have the same pair, like, again, if I had a brand new pair of Auroras and I wanted to use those because I'm going to put a lot of miles on them, then I could just look at the wear of a pair that I have worn and do it based on that. But since Eve got the backs, again, nothing is harmed. You can see at the bottom here, she just chewed on it a little bit. I don't care. Well, I do care because they're my running shoes, but they're not actually damaged at all. So I'm going to place this one about right here, up at the toe. It's on the outside of the sole. Now, depending on what the soles of your shoes look like, some spots may be harder to get the screws in, depending on just the tread of your shoe. But this seems to be going pretty easily. I have put them on, let's see, my first winter, it actually was when I was not running at the time due to burnout. I was using the Brooks Launch, and that has more tread than the Aurora. And I just needed to make sure that I wasn't like placing it on an uneven surface because the screw isn't going to go in very well. It's not going to sit very well. So just pay attention to that when you're placing your screw. Just don't place it on an uneven surface. I've also put screws in the Brooks Glycerin. Clearly, I'm a Brooks person. I do wear my trail shoes. I have the Ultra Superior. I wear them when it's not icy, but there's some snow because they give me a lot of traction. So there are not many days when I just wear a regular pair of running shoes in the winter. The majority of the time I have spikes on, or I'm wearing my trail shoes. And knock on wood, have never fallen with the YakTrax or the IceSpikes. And again, I'm wearing IceSpikes over YakTrax now because they hold up a lot better. I don't have to continue to wear or buy pairs of YakTrax, and nothing breaks. Like, these screws aren't going to come out of your shoes. The screws aren't going to break. Again, I've worn them when it's pretty much 50 below 0 degrees Fahrenheit, and I haven't had any problems. So here's just a check. I got the sole, the toe of my shoes done. They're pretty symmetrical. I just need to do the heel, and then they're done, okay? And then I can literally, if we had snow now, we do have some ice, but not a lot. I could head out the door with these shoes, and they'd be ready. And I'm just trying to figure out where I want to put this one. So again, the IceSpikes do come with, and again, I'm not sponsored by them. This is not an ad at all. I just absolutely love them. And when I find something that works for winter running or running in general, I want to share it. And I know that winter running can be a big challenge for a lot of people, and it can seem intimidating because of the temperatures, because of the weather, just because of the unknown, the uncertainty of what gear to wear or how to approach different situations of winter running. So that's why I talk so much about tips on winter running, how to stay warm, how to stay safe. I don't really tell you exactly what specific brands or gear to wear because everyone is different when it comes to the cold, when it comes to feeling cold, like my body is going to adjust. I actually might put an extra one on this. I spaced it a little differently. My body is adjusting to the cold already, just like your body adjusts to the warmer temperatures and the humidity in the summer as it gets warmer. And I need to push into this one harder too. My body adjusts to the cold living in a cold climate. So if you think about going from winter to spring, 32 degrees feels very warm this spring, and you could run in a t-shirt and shorts. But when you go from summer to fall and temperatures start getting cool again, that's a big adjustment. Like 32 degrees feels really cold. Now my body starts adjusting to the colder temperatures, and 0 degrees is going to feel pretty warm in a little while, okay? So 0 degrees for me may feel extremely warm, and it may feel extremely cold to someone else. It's just all based on your environment, how your body adjusts, and what is considered normal for you. Like 0 degrees is going to be normal this winter. So just to show you a little example, I evenly spaced these. I got a little different on the heel. That's okay. This one seems to wear a little bit more right on my left shoe than my right shoe, so that's why I did that. And what did that take? That didn't take very long to do both shoes. It would probably take me less time if I wasn't talking. Like, I'm sure this one, my left shoe that I did beforehand, went a lot quicker. So that's how you add. These are specifically called IceSpikes. That's the brand. IceSpike.com, as you can see down below. And these are the run screws. They have different options for walking, hiking. I don't know what else they have, but you have different options of 3/8 inch and 1/2 inch screws. I'm using and have used the 3/8 inch screws. Just put them in the bottom of your shoes based on how your shoe wears, where you need traction. If you go out for a run and you feel a little bit of slippage, add more screws. I don't add screws here. I haven't seemed to need them because you guys, these IceSpikes do a wonderful job. You can see how intense they are. They're not just a sheet metal screw, which is why I use these over sheet metal screws. These are more heavy duty. They're meant for this. They don't wear. I've talked to people who use the sheet metal screws. They wear fairly quickly. You have to pay attention to your screws so that you can actually get them out and replace them as they wear. Whereas these, I've never had any issues throughout wearing them for the entire winter. So I highly suggest using IceSpikes. If you have been hesitant about it and you've been using YakTrax, make the leap. They're incredible. This, again, will be my third winter using them. I have running friends that I run with every day who also use them, and they help tremendously. And they even say, I wish that I would have made the jump earlier because they are so much easier to use than YakTrax in terms of wear. Some of my friends also say that YakTrax make their feet feel heavy because they do add more bulk to your shoe. These are simply just screws, okay? They don't add any weight to your shoe, which is incredible, and I don't notice them. I don't notice them at all when I'm running. If I hit pavement, which is rare in our winter, then I would hear them, but they don't impact my stride. They don't impact my gait or anything. So let me know if you guys have questions because I absolutely love them, and I'm happy to answer any questions about IceSpikes, putting screws on the bottom of your shoes. Again, I just use this handheld that came with the IceSpike. You can also use a drill, an electric drill, and it'll just be as easy. But again, you just have to get it started, and then it's pretty easy to screw in. So Let me know if you guys have questions about, again, the IceSpikes, the screws, or winter running, cold weather running, and enjoy it this winter.